Hello everyone, this is the 3D printed animatronic creature, part 8, the teeth. And I'm going to show you how I put teeth in this animatronic, and there's a certain process on how to do it. I've made a lot of teeth. Like I said before, I was a dental lab technician for like 30 years and made enough teeth to fill a city. But I like making creature teeth, and I made a lot of those too, so I want to show you how I do it for an animatronic because it needs to be kind of precise. So what you're doing is you're going to be filling a space, which the space is the upper space and the lower space where the teeth go to make a bite. And then when you have your hinged jaw, it will fit correctly. But like if you see here, I've made a lot of teeth with this free software called Sculptress. And Sculptress has been around for a long time. And I've been using it. And a lot longer than I had said before because I didn't realize is, I've found things that I've done in 2014 and 2012, matter of fact. But these teeth here are just like designed for, doing SketchUps or doing sketches and sculpting and stuff like that, like wolf teeth and ape teeth and just creature teeth. And once again, I've made a lot of them. But when you have creatures and stuff, the teeth kind of make the creature, But, being this alien type deal, I really don't want to go anything too fierce, too much fang, be more like human or whatever. But you can kind of manipulate these teeth, Basically, what you need to do if you wanted to do this yourself is you would copy or you would make teeth individually, and then you would bring them uh, into the software. And how you would do that is like you got your central, your lateral, your cuspid, your bicuspid, second bi, and then your two molars, and that's just on one arch, one side. But you only need one bicuspid and one molar, and you can just resize it. Just keep adding it until you have a full set of teeth. And then you also have four other molars in your mouth, and that's wisdom teeth. But most of the time they're not used in the making dentures. But anyway, I just basically model this and just kind of shape it to get a look what's fierce. Everything has seemed to have like fangs, which a fang would be considered a cuspid, and or they also call it a canine. So, but in designing these set of teeth, I'm wanting to show more gum. That way, when the lips of the animatronic, when they raise up and lower down, you'll see some of the gum on the animatronic. So I got to keep the teeth kind of on the small side. I just don't want you to see all teeth. I want you to see teeth and gum. But basically, when you can design these teeth in sculptures a way where I've kind of, and you are limited in sculptures now. There's a lot of things you can't do. You can't bring in a lot of things. It has to be really simple. It's no ZBrush, it's no Blender, but it's a good fluid modeling tool. And it took me forever to just figure out that I could actually delete things, but that was way back when. But I want to show you the whole process on how to make these teeth have a bite for an animatronic. But on here, I'm just modeling something just to show you that you can bring in teeth, model a little bit at a time. You can remove teeth. Now I removed one of the bicuspids and one of the molars, so I can, this is an alien creature. We're gonna do a little bit different kind of setup instead of having a bunch of teeth in the mouth, and you see me just moving those teeth out. But a better way is I feel like on doing these teeth is you make an arch and you save it. Now, when you save in Sculptress, it's OBJ, and that's the only way you save it. But then if you bring it, if you copy that upper, and then you can bring it in, and then just mirror it, invert it, and then you have two arches, and you can just resize one to the other, which some of the teeth on the lower are smaller than the big centrals. So I just kind of model this, and you have your gingiva and your gum area, and you kind of want to make it kind of tight, but not too tight, because you do have some long canines, and space for the fang, and you just don't want it to be too much to where when the animatronic bites, it's biting into a tooth. And you kind of design the teeth to fit in the cusp. That way, it won't be like an open mouth all the time where it can't close the teeth because it's hitting something. But when I finish these in like dental acrylic, they'll look better, and I'll be able to manipulate a lot of that, any kind of problems that it may occur by not closing the teeth all the way. But by doing it like this in a design, as you'll see, they'll fit really well. A lot of my art that y'all see me do is, I'm using free software. Once again, I've been kind of a starving artist, and I just do what I can with what I have, and also it's kind of just to show what you can really do if you just set your mind up and just do it. And some things is you can you can do it, but once again, you see me here modeling this lower denture, just doing some detail. And a lot of these things is when I get this molded, I can do a lot of this work on the dental lathe that I have, and y'all actually see the process of like making the denture for this alien creature. But it's fun, and you just gotta watch things. Like back here, I'm kind of smoothing this back of the upper arch here, because I don't want the mechanism of the lip to interfere with anything in the back where it might hit it or bump it, and it might prevent it from closing or whatever. But this is part of it, and this is the sculpting part in Sculptress. But we have another sculpting area that we have to do, and that's to manipulate for the plates, and the plates are coming up soon. Now this shot right here that I'm doing, this is all sped up ×8. And I mean, it can get, this is like, I don't know, 20-minute video, but I put like 2 hours into it, I guess it was. But there's just a lot of parts to make this process happen. But I've kind of figured out a way to, once you do it enough, you get where it's pretty natural. But once again, I'm just kind of smoothing things out, making sure that I have room in the back. Maybe even add a tongue later or something like that. But which would be if I had the tongue to move, that would be another servo, or I could just link it to the upper, and every time the upper or the lower jaw moved, it could maybe raise some kind of tongue or whatever. But that's later on. We're going to get these teeth made. But I'm happy with this design right here. But once again, in Sculptress, you save as an OBJ. So then you gotta manipulate that size in OBJ. But what I have to do here is delete one arch and then send out that file, and then I'll bring it back and delete the other arch and then save that upper arch. And both are saved as an OBJ. Now we're going to be in SketchUp again, and this is what we have to do to make this work. Now these are the old teeth. something I just threw in there to get some kind of a look and pre-measure my lips. But I need to put its own teeth in here. And the way I do this is this little plate right here, or this panel, I'm going to copy it and make you know, a panel or a plate. And this is going to be roughly 2 millimeters in thickness. But these plates, are the big key for these dentures I'm going to make for this animatronic. And I also make a plate. I copy the plate off of the jaw, and this one's a little off here, so I have to make sure that I can level it and get it back into the right position. But this is also going to be 2 millimeter thickness, and you'll see why in a minute. But and here, when I copy these two plates, and the space in between here is where the denture is going to go, and that will generate the proper bite for these teeth. And these plates now will match up correctly. So now I'll take these plates and I'll make a line here. And this line's going to make it center to my software, which I'm in SketchUp here. And I want it to match up the center in Blender because we're going to be sculpting. And got to make sure everything is center in both softwares for this to work right. I've saved those panels as a STL file and imported them, exported them into Blender, and here they are. Okay, so this, and STL files is the proper measurement. The measurements are stable. Now OBJ file is not stable, and if you see these teeth that I bring in, I'll export them into Blender, the teeth, as a OBJ, and they're tiny. But I copied each one of them separate, so when I send them in, they're both separate upper and lower objects, but they're matching the proper center point. So now what I got to do is I need to manipulate this size, as you see here, to go in between these two panels. Once again, this is sped up times 8, and but what else? I'm just shaping it. It's X, Y, Z. Press G, and you can move it when you press G and X. You can move it that way, and X, so on and so forth, or S to shape it. X, Y, Z also, and I basically get a fit on the panel. And the key to this right here, I'm going to be using a software or a plug-in or an add-on, they call it in Blender, called Box Cutter. And what I'm doing is I'm manipulating the sculpture that I had using Blender Sculpt, and I'm making sure that I go through this panel, and I just, because that panel is going to be a part of that upper denture, but those two panels are one object right now, and later I'll have to separate those objects, and I'll tell you how to do that. But here I'm just modeling the upper, okay, and it's mirror design as far as in sculpting, and now I'm going to do the lower, so I can manipulate those gum and gingiva, and if I have to move the teeth to get them right, I'll do the same thing. But I'm actually going through this plate, but and this is basically how I've been doing all my teeth for a few years, and to design any kind of creature teeth for animatronics that I've been making. But it's not a really, it's just a quick demonstration of what I can do really quick. It gives some realistic teeth, and a lot of this detail will be also made when I make the dental acrylic version. But right here, I crashed my computer, And what that was is when I went into, and I put this in the video for y'all to show. One thing is, you see this? This is old teeth that I had made. When I went back to see if I could recover, it brought back some old teeth. Well, what it is that I found out later, because this is the newest version of Blender, 4.0, I believe. Well, there were some issues with the so-called plug-in or box cutter, and it didn't want to work right, but I had not saved yet. So remember to save your projects. But what I had to do is I had to change Blender software, go back to an older version so I could use uh, box cutter. But like right here, I'm in 2.8. But right here, if you see these plates, I go into edit mode and I highlight one of those plates, the upper, and then I press P, and what that does is separate and makes that upper plate its own object. So now I use box cutter and I cut through that top plate. All right. So you wait a few minutes because my computer is slow because I'm recording everything on top of that. So now I've made that cut in box cutter. So now I'm going to highlight everything. And I like doing this because it's more comfortable. I don't want nothing to move right now. So I just tilt the whole thing. And then I do box cutter for the lower. And it just removes everything, everything that's underneath that panel. But that panel plate, as you see here, I'm doing box cutter again, and I'll remove all that there. Plus, everything else is inside that panel plate. So I get that done, and then the next process is I just rotate it back in its right position. Now, the box cutter is like a boolean tool, and it's really good. It really cuts well. It can do all kind of wonderful hard surface modeling. But after you apply that, you got to apply that boolean, that cut tool. But also, when you apply for each arch, we also got to make sure that we join each arch to its own panel. But on the boolean or the box cutter tool, we got to make sure that we remove these so-called, they call them in the directory, cutters. So I have to delete those because these boxes will appear when you save as an STL file. And when you put them up to print, you'll have these so-called boxes like you see here. They will appear on your file. But to remove those, you got to delete those cutter in the directory. But everything has been set now, and I've joined them to the panels, and you just, highlight both and you join them. Now, I had saved those two as one single piece, upper and lower together. That way, this is the bite, and I want to make a low poly version in that destination master in ZBrush. I can lower the poly count because it would be like 100 megs, I guess, and it would be too big for SketchUp. So I went through that so I could put it into SketchUp, a low poly version. But there's just certain things that you have to do to get this thing to work right. But it's important for this to be this way because you have to have a correct bite for this animatronic, and it's because it makes it look so natural. But as you see here, STL file matching up to the other panels, and they match up correctly being STL files. So now I'm going to put them into the animatronic, and this is the old teeth. Now I just put this in there as far as a guide for my lip mechanisms. So I'll just have a basic set of teeth. But And this was something that I made from another creature. And matter of fact, this was probably from that small baby creature that y'all saw the skin on the first YouTube video, as you see here. But I made some to fit this animatronic correctly, and then there they are there. Well, the teeth fit well, but also I wanted the teeth to be a little smaller because I want to see the gum, especially when them lips raise up. You'll see more gum than just a bunch of white teeth. But sorry, I was very happy doing these. It's I appreciate everybody. I hope I show y'all some techniques that might help you in y'all's designs of animatronics. And I really do. I mean, and I appreciate all the likes and the comments. I really like the comments, and I try to answer all of them. But here's the prints I made of the teeth. Now you see how big the teeth are going to be. And after I get all this stuff cured, we'll make a mold of them in silicone, and we'll cast dental acrylic, and we'll make them look like really dentures, realistic teeth. But once again, thanks everybody. Comment, tell me what y'all think. Uh, like the video. Thank y'all so much. Channel's still growing. Hey, y'all have a good day. Later.